Alright, welcome back everybody to our second video on the new joint channel. We wanted to do a Q&A on this channel just to kind of let you guys get to know more about us a little bit.
Yeah, just like get to know us. If you don't know us, then hopefully this will like answer a ton of your questions that you have about us. Yeah, we can just get right into it. The first question is, how long had you guys been dating before getting engaged? How long were we dating? 6 months?
We were dating, so the day we got engaged was our 6-month anniversary of like official dating.
Next question is, what made you realize you were the one for each other?
You start off.
I can start off?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like as soon as Johnny and I started talking, it was just very evident that he was like different from a lot of other guys, and that the Lord had brought him into my life because the timing wasn't like the best ever. And I was like, I don't really want a boyfriend right now. And God was like, no, like this is who you're supposed to be with. So I feel like I just could feel it from the Lord. And also he was just so different and treated me how I've always wanted to be treated.
I would say like the peace that I felt like about it from like very early on was like something that was just pretty evident. We both were like on a very similar page like when we first started talking, and as far as like kind of once we started talking, we both were already like talking about like our future together and stuff before we even like had met or like officially started dating. So I think it was just like the peace of knowing that we were both on the same page and like both felt like that it was from God. I mean, I even told, it was probably my third day of talking to her. We hadn't even FaceTimed yet, and I told someone I was gonna marry her. I was like, yeah, that's the girl. So it was like very early on, like I knew.
Yeah, I feel like we both knew pretty early on, and like we wouldn't have pursued it if we didn't think that we were gonna get married, just because like the distance from Ohio to Arizona was like really long, so we weren't just trying to like waste time and do long distance just for nothing. This question kind of goes along with the other one, but it says, what stands out to you about the other person that isn't like anyone you've ever met before? For me, something that stands out about Johnny and like stood out when we first started talking, and even to this day still does, I don't know how to explain it, like not like your personality, but I just feel like we just like get along like very easily. And I'm not a hard person to get along with, but a lot of times with people I will like need to take breaks from them. Like if I'm with someone for so long, then I'm like, oh, I need to take a break. Like I just need my own time to regather my own thoughts and stuff. But with Johnny, it's like I want to be with him literally 24/7. This summer, even one of my friends had asked me, because we were traveling all over the country this summer together, and then my friend had asked me, how do you not feel like you need a break from him, or like how do you guys go about that? And I just never feel like I need a break, you know, like yeah. And I feel like we both know when the other person like wants to be chill and like just not talk and just hang out, and the other person is totally okay with that. So we're never like, you're driving me insane, I need to go to the other room. Like we're not like that really.
Yeah, I that wasn't what I thought of, but that's like completely true. Like for me, because like I'm a very introverted person, and like I love people, and I know I'm supposed to love people because that's what God wants me to do. But like I can get annoyed at people really fast, even if they're not necessarily like trying to do anything. I just like sometimes I just have like a meter that just runs out. But with Cass, that like never has been like an issue at all. Like I always, like whenever I go to work, I'm like I enjoy my job and like I enjoy what I do, but like I miss her. So it's like, but like back to the question, my answer would be like, I think like how genuine she was, and like that was clear from the beginning too. I think like when you're in that talking stage to someone, a lot of times you're like showing a lot of interest in that person, like, oh, how was your day? Like, oh, this happened to you, like let me hear about it. And then that kind of fades away, I think, once you start dating, and you're just kind of like, I was just doing that for like the talking, whatever. But for like Cass, that like never, that's never been something that happened. Like you genuinely care like about my day, and you genuinely care about like how I'm doing and stuff, and like that like stands out, because most people are like about them first, and like Cass truly like puts me like above her.
Oh, that's so cute. Next question is, how do you grow closer in your faith together? I feel like for us, it's just a lot of praying together, whether that's just like before dinner or just something is going on in life and we're like, we need to pray. And then since we've been in person, not doing long distance, being able to go to church together is another way to grow your faith, just worshiping with someone and being able to talk about like sermons afterwards.
Yeah, when we were long distance, it was mostly like, how can I pray for you? And then just basically praying for each other. And then now that we're in person, being able to go to church and worship and talk about like stuff like that. I think we're still working on how to be better at it, as far as like just getting in a routine. Sometimes like when you fall away from a routine of like, this is when we like read every day, like this is when we do that, like it can be hard to get back into it. So we're trying to find like times in our schedules that like work, and so like I feel like we do a fairly good job at it, but like we can definitely like always like have improvement and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think the next thing would be just making sure we're getting that time in every single day, together.
Like reading
Yeah.
wise. We've never done a devotional together. The only thing that we've done similar to that is when we were doing long distance, we both read a book and then we would like talk about it. But I ended up reading it way quicker than Johnny did because I love to read, so I just like read all through the book.
Well,
But
like
what book was that?
Single, Dating, Engaged, Married.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a really good book.
Yeah, it was a really good book.
I want to read. I do enjoy books, but like especially when I have my time off and I'm done with work, I'd much rather either like go to the gym or just like relax and watch TV. Like
Yeah.
reading a book's not necessarily relaxing for me. So if I have more time on my hands, I can read. But like I just didn't have a lot of time, so she like read it like 2 months before I did.
Next question is, what is your advice for getting married young financially? Honestly, for us, it's just important to know when we save money where it's going. And so we're not getting married until December, but we set up a few savings accounts of like, this savings account is for this savings account is for this, so that we can put money into them and know like why we're saving this money, and we can see the money that we're saving, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say I have a couple things I would advise as far as finances, just because finances, like when you look at it, is one of the main things that destroys marriages in this country. And like only 50% of marriages last these days, which is like super sad, and a huge factor of that is finances. I would say the first thing that I like, my advice is, as much as you may love that person and want to get married, do not get married until you're financially able to do so. Because if you're starting off your marriage in just such a place of just not knowing where your next meal's coming from, not knowing how to pay rent, living in places that is not safe, just a whole factor of decisions. If you're starting off your marriage in that kind of headspace, in that kind of environment, it can just really set your marriage off in a bad space. You don't have to be rich, okay? Like, you do not have to be rich, but you need to be able to financially be at a point where you can live comfortably, and not have to worry about paying for a wedding, or not have to be stressing where that rent payment is. Being able to afford to live at a place where you both want to live. Just being able to afford things that isn't going to put too much stress on your marriage, straight out. Just because marriage is so hard just to begin with, because you're forging two lives together, and making sure that finances isn't one of those big arguments early on is just gonna like really help you. My second point of advice would be to really be open. So like, we opened up a joint checking account before we're married, just because we're heading to that point of getting married, and so there would be no reason to you spend your money, I spend my money, when we're going to the place where that's both of our monies. And so being able to be like, okay, like see each other, what each other has spent, is super important, because it just allows communication, so none of us feel like we're getting like cheated out of each other's. Like, I don't want, like, she doesn't want me to feel like my money's going to waste, or I to feel like her money's going to waste. And so we still buy stuff and we still live, but we still make sure that we're okay with each other's purchases. Just setting aside those numbers of, here's how much I made each month, and we set down, okay, this is where this money came from. Now this is how much we need to tithe. This is how much we need to put into savings. This is how much we need to put in this savings, and this is how much, you know, we can spend for ourselves. And just setting those numbers out before the month even starts kind of eliminates overspending and arguments.
Yeah, like going off of what he said, just having a joint bank account, I feel like is so much easier, especially when we have all these wedding expenses. It's not like you pay for this, I pay for this, or like, can you transfer me money for this? Like, that would just be a little bit silly.
Yeah, we're like engaged, and I'm like asking for like a Venmo request. It's
yeah,
like, at that
so
point,
like when we have all these expenses that we both need to pay equally, it's just so much easier for us to have a joint bank account. And then especially like dinners and stuff, whenever I make dinner, it's for both of us. So like when I go buy groceries, it's just so much easier if it's coming out of like both of our paychecks, if that makes sense. Okay, the camera battery died, so hopefully the lighting and everything is still pretty similar. But anyways, the next question is, when did Johnny know he was going to propose?
Yeah, so again, like we talked about, like we both knew from early on that we were gonna get married, or else we just would never have done long distance because it's not that fun. It was just kind of dependent on like when we wanted to get married, based on when I proposed, and kind of like how far we had gone in our relationship. Just because like even though we knew we were gonna get married from the beginning, you still want to be at a certain point in a relationship before taking it to that next level. Just so when you get to that level, conversations that need to happen before that can have time to happen, and relationships have time to develop. I mean, they just take time. And so I think I bought the ring after we had spent a few weeks together, like it was like 14, 15, 16 days, somewhere in there, in March, because she came down on her spring break and then I went on my spring break to Ohio. So right when I came back from there, I was like upset because I wasn't going to see her for another month, and I was like, maybe it'll make me happier if I buy a ring. And so like I bought her ring, and I was originally planning, there it is, I was originally planning to do it end of May, but I was so busy with teaching and trying to figure out where my next job was going to be and moving and all of this. I was like so stressed out to even try to plan a proposal that I knew it wouldn't be what I wanted it to be and what I wanted it to be for her. So postponed it until our 6 months in July. So I'd say I knew when I was officially going to do it, like probably a month before, like first week of June, but like knew I was going to do it like the whole forever.
Aww,
Yeah,
forever.
Forever.
That's sweet, babe. The very last question is, when are you guys planning to have kids?
This was
She
asked
said
like
they're gonna be
a
the
million
cutest.
times.
Yeah, literally 15 people asked this.
So hate to break it to you guys, but that's not on the...
We're not having kids anytime soon. We're getting married in December, probably like 5 years after. We just got a puppy, if you haven't seen our last video, and she is a handful.
She's a lot of work.
Like, she's enough for
I
now.
think it was always a plan to wait to have kids, but after realizing like how tough like she is and like how much we have to like spend time with like on her, it's like we're not ready. And it's like it's something that we both really like. When I'm a dad, I'm gonna thrive in that role. Like my lawn's gonna be like the dopest lawn. I'll be the best like little league coach, but it's like I don't want that right now. I know when it comes, like I'm gonna thrive in it, and like that's when I'll be like peaking in life. But I think there's a lot of things that like we both want to do, and just like a place we want to be financially, and things we want to have seen and done and like experience in a relationship. Because it's like, even though we'll still be married like forever, like when we have kids, like it just changes when you do have kids, and like no one can say it doesn't. You're no longer just you two. Our relationships even changed since we got the dog. Like
since we've gotten Maple, we have to give attention to her, and just like spending time together involves her most of the time now too. So adding kids to that is not anything that's gonna happen anytime soon. But one day we're gonna have kids, and that'll be fun.
Well, and Cass is still very, very young.
I'm only 21.
I mean, I'm young, but I'm not that.
Yeah.
So like she's still 21. So even if we wait 5 years, like 26, like
that'd be like
that's still a very young age to like have kids. And like once we start having kids, where it's not going to be like long breaks of time between them.
Yeah, like, once we start having kids, we're just gonna have
just let them keep coming out until we say stop. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
I used to always want to be like a really young mom, and then now that we're getting married, and especially after having Maple, I'm like, I don't want to be a mom for a long time. Like
when I get off work, like right now, like after a full day of like being with kids, I love them, but I'm so mentally exhausted. I'm so like mentally, physically, spiritually exhausted that like I couldn't even think of having kids to come home to right now. So I feel like when God wants us to have kids, like he will start giving us that heart of feeling
the
like
motherhood
heart, and like the
heart.
Patience and everything that takes to be really good parents. Right now we don't have that, and so we're not supposed to have kids right now.
But that's all for this Q&A. I hope that we answered a ton of your guys' questions, and we actually did a Q&A like back in March, I think, on my channel. So if your question didn't get answered, it probably already got answered in that video. I can link it up here and put it in the description, so you can go watch that if you're interested. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. There will be a ton of new content coming from us together on this joint channel.
Let us know like too, like what you kind of want to see on the channel, because more Q&A stuff, more like lifestyle stuff.
Like cooking even. Somebody asked us to do like recipes for 2 people, like healthy recipes when you're just cooking for 2. So we can do stuff like that if you wanted, but let us know what you're interested in. Bye. Love
Peace
you
out.
guys.